you don't think I see you crying in your cars, but I do. Sometimes I can feel it at a red light. Someone at my side trying to muddle through. See them wiping their eyes in the rear view. Like black hole sun in the sky, why the fuck won't you come when I need you? Well, this moment in time is as close as we'll be and as far as I'll meet you. Two windows in between us, new moon in the house of Venus. One stranger who sees you and reads your features knows that your alibi might be tight, but it's not quite leak-proof. So if you're sitting at the light and you're crying in your car, just know that I see you. And it's a 50-50 that I'm bloodshot, gun-shy, once bitten, twice tried, ribs pried wide to the sky till I'm see-through.
That's you, in case you don't recognize yourself.
You don't think I see you struggling to breathe, but I do. I see you stumble in your everyday grief like I do. I try, but I do. I'm twice bitten too. My mind's split in two. My knuckles bright white from the 10 to the 2. And the song in my head is the theme for a fugue. A state of decay through the filter of corporate news, where they edit the grays and the blues. They whitewash the brown till they drown out the natural hues. And then it's just another fact to refuse, that the corporate ladder's for hanging the company noose. Consider it one of your perks, after all it's communal in use. So you can come and hang till your legs go limp and they're shaking you loose. Now you watch 5 co-workers opt for the alternate exit, neatly suspended above where you wolf down your food. And your company gets its incentives embellished by harping on wellness, suggesting you'd best take time for your mental health after your 14 hours are through. Like we gave you a bottle to piss in and fixed up a noose on the crossbeam. Christ, what more can we do? So if you struggle to breathe any moment that you aren't asleep, then remember, most of Americans fear for their savings, fear for their shelter, fear for their babies. You aren't the fringe of exception, but rather a perfect example of capital's rule. And you're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. You're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. I see you crying in your cars, but I do.
That's how it goes. We won't open our eyes, so we're the last ones to know. We're the last ones alive. Kept our enemies close. Wondered why we don't thrive while we're grasping at ghosts. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5. Counting backwards from 5.
Count back from 5. The theater on fire, the cast on strike. The studio stock starts taking a dive. The contract's tossed and they're gone with the tide. And the heads and execs, their hands are tied. We can't pump this track and treat you right. But what do you expect from the industry type who survive by the leeching of bodies and minds? From those who original thoughts never seem to find. So they're gonna reboot ALF before your wages rise. And it gives cause to pause and reflect on the times. If they're losing control of their fools and their mimes, when all those obedient actors who grew their careers by averting their eyes are now holding the line, along with the authors of countless scripts that strengthen the hand of that corporate grip, squeezing our throats till we take the pen and we accept and consent to the corporate drip. Till you're all up to date on your pharma du jour, till you got a healthy support for the war on your lips. And now you know that the advertisers need more than a rerun summer full of flashback clips. Enter the scans from the year before, all the days of de-aging and mapping the face, and the hours of actors recording their voices are links in the chains that will bind them in place. Now all of those shows are so easy to make. When they got a drone they control that needs no break, it can bend, it can break, and it's cheaply replaced enough up-to-date films all in one take. And those studios bank on us doing our duty, unhinging our jaws and digesting the fakes. Because they know that we'll love how synthetic it tastes. Watch as they edit your features without any trace. Not that there's anything you could do anyway. Now watch as they show you a movie you saying shit you would never say. Dystopia boldly accelerates. Maybe you're only a mold, something to fill with a clone, something that Elon would celebrate. Something they own, something they program and code, something that's woefully able to know its exanimate. Cause it doesn't feel touch over top of the laminate. You will not feel an emotion, but they will not scan and examine it. You and the other consumer contaminants fed on the federal diet of Kiev, Havana, and Tiananmen. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment. I can't be the only one weighing the pros of abandonment.
Where did you think we'd go? Love, there's nowhere to lie. Guess it's not who you know, more it's what you can hide. Like we're chained to the floor, they're streaming us live while we're watching the war, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards from 5, counting backwards. I know you hated being forced awake. I know they wrapped you in the warmest.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? See, I had to do it manually.
Who are these people?
Hi, everyone. What up?
Oh,
Hopefully you can hear
what
Himbo.
happened?
No, you're good. You're good. I
Hopefully.
see you.
Hopefully.
I see you. This is Indie. That's Himbo. This is nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to work anymore. See, I wasn't
Nobody
kidding. That's from a while ago. I think from 2 years ago. Stephanie, good. I'm glad that you're in for this mind meld. I appreciate you hanging out. Good to see everyone already. It's been a crazy couple of months. So with all that's been going on with me, with INN, I took a break and came back and decided that we're going to change things up a little bit. And how do we miss that is getting rebranded and is now Indie News Now Live and moving to Tuesday nights. But Thursday nights, we've got Jesse now only going one night a month. So it's like, okay, what are we going to do? So we're going to rotate and we're going to put this show back in service. And we figure about once a month, there should be enough content we can do that we can pull some stuff together for. So Himbo himself, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm trying to not get sick at the moment. I decided mostly I'm gonna focus more on networking than this insanity that is job applications, looking for a better job, because it's gotten to the point where it's I don't even know if people are doing anything at this point. Gotten a bunch of weird like M-dashy like interview offers, and it's just getting worse. And I feel like this wasn't an area that needed to get worse. So I'm hanging in there, but I feel like it's more productive if you just like kind of network with all the people you've worked with before, and then like, hey, is your company hiring? Because I'm great, and I don't want to keep mass applying for hours every night. So how you been?
I mean, who you know has become more important than ever. Okay. That's up close and personal. But no, I mean literally
My
it's
monitor turned
your
off.
net, they used to say a long time ago that your network is your net worth, but it's like it's become even harder to even network and find spaces, I would say, to professionally have conversations with people. Like it's you have to be more creative in identifying those and putting yourself in those situations more than I've ever really seen before. Where if you're not doing that, you're completely left behind. And I'll be honest, I've kind of been left behind in the last 5-6 months. I've kind of checked out a little bit. Thankfully, I've got a decent enough deal right now that I got some residual income working and I can breathe for a second, but I'm just kind of, I'm not getting those phone calls. I'm not having those conversations. I'm not commenting on people's LinkedIn things. I'm not doing the little things that I did for 25 years in my career to really give myself that edge, stay networked, keep track of who's moving where and where they're going and what they're selling and what product that they were. I used to follow that like I would follow sports, and I tracked it very much the same way, using LinkedIn as a type of tool. But I just find that, especially right now, and I don't know if part of it is because of what I see in the news. I think it has to be. I'm checked out on work and capitalism and the way that they're pushing everyone for profits. And I got a funny reel about some of the shit that's going on with LinkedIn and how fake LinkedIn is, especially now with AI slop happening. You've got professional newsletter writers that are now using Substack and LinkedIn and tying those things together and automating the whole damn thing through like a chat GPT. And does anybody want to read that stuff? I don't know, because I think bots are reading it.
It's chat GPT versus chat GPT, because everyone I know is now like skipping the whole like writing a cover letter thing. They're like, chat GPT, write me a cover letter, or like answer, how some, some companies are like, here's these 10 questions where we want you to just basically fillet us the whole time. People are just firing those into chat GPT. So it's basically, we're almost skipping the middleman entirely, right? And just making it bots versus bots, and there's people behind the bots. And I'm going to be honest, man, I'm checked out a little bit too, just because I don't know if I have the dopamine. And this is a problem for people with ADHD. Once you become self-aware, you're like, do I really have the dopamine to go through like 4 hours of just like fucking applying to crap? I don't know if I have it in me for another mass job like super hunt.
And not just that, but like even for, I know of an opportunity where the president of the company that's a friend of mine posted it on LinkedIn. It might be a decent opportunity for me. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll get to it, but I got to fucking tailor my resume. And that's going to be time. Then I got to go through their whole application bullshit, because they use that Workday thing. So you have to go through like 9 steps just to submit your application each time. Like, I know, like that's what we should be doing, but at the same time, like, meh. And that sounds disgusting and privileged to even hear it come out of my mouth, because I should be hustling and killing myself and trying to go get it. But I'm at the point where like, for who, for what, to put the money in whose pocket? Like,
by someone. No, listen, Indie, that CEO needs another yacht. Okay. Like, don't be selfish. He needs a third yacht. He's almost done stacking jet skis to the top of his boathouse in his third cottage. Okay, we got to work for that. That's really what it's about. Okay, we gotta like, no, but I'm checked out too. I completely agree with you. I'm just like, I'm just fucking done with this game. I mean, like
Right?
I'm 40 now. I know I don't look it because I have the going to prom face happening. But I'm fucking done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't
Right?
want to
Like,
go down
just
this rat race.
I'm out. Can we? Well, in that vein, I brought some funny shit to watch. So here, let's
go.
do something fun. Billy's gonna sell his body to science fiction. I think that's a great idea. Okay. But here we go. All right. So before we actually do that, we've got our wall of fame. I actually updated it to make some space because you guys have all hooked us up, and we got a couple of new supporters like Christopher Anthony. Thank you. Really appreciate that. There was one other somewhere on that list, but I can't find them now. But yeah, so if you want to join that list, the ways to do that: Cash App, $ Indie News Network. You go ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. And then we've got paypal.me/Indie News Network. IndieNewsNow.com. That's a website that I set up. We're actually live there now, and it co-streams everything that INN does, and it's a news aggregator website. And we've got merch there, and it's got profiles and bios and everybody. And then we've got the Substacks. We're live at INNnewsletter.com. And then my daily newsletter is IndieMediaToday.com. That's where you get clips and all kinds of stuff from me. Okay, so I want to show this stuff. This is the funny Instagram shit. So first, this one I thought was just perfect. So Instagram's weird, so you have to reload it, and then it comes in muted. He says, I don't want to work anymore.
I'm working every day very hard, and I never had money. Fucking shit. So everything is expensive, motherfucker. So I don't know a la chingada porque I never have money in my wallet, a la verga. So I don't want to work anymore.
True. So I just thought in that vein, that kind of fit right along with where you were going. I don't want to work anymore either. Like, I don't think anybody does, but it's not that nobody wants to work anymore for these conditions, for these motherfuckers to make them the profits. Share the profits. Fruits of the labor type of thing, own the means of production. So also, since you've been interviewing,
fucking company, make every company a fucking worker co-op immediately. That's all I got to say. I've got a client at work who runs a huge worker co-op, and I'm like, I just keep asking her about it. Because I'm like, what do you do here? How did you get it started? Okay. Because we just need worker co-ops at this point. Enough is enough. Come on now. We got a handful of people who are building a digital prison, and the rest of us are like, let's
my worry.
I'm cutting myself off before the rant.
My worry with Richard Wolf co-ops is what happens when you want to leave your company or your job, or you decide that you don't want to do this with these people anymore. I don't feel like there's an easy way out of a co-op, and that type of commitment is not something that's necessarily for everyone. There's also additional responsibilities that go along with ownership that some may not necessarily want to take on. I mean, and I'm with you about owning the means of production, and you have to do it in some way, shape, or form. It's just how, in a way that lets them be disconnected, lets people run the business on behalf of the business, but still give them some kind of voting power, controlling power, feel like they've got a say, and then also share in the profits. That most importantly.
Buyout sleep co-ops, Bill, that's a good idea. I mean, there's ways to solve this problem. I mean, the way I would like to do it is you go to your PC, you look at there's an icon of a bald guy with like a mustache and a goatee. It's called Lenin.exe. You double click that and the problem solves itself. So I've heard.
Well, You know, since you've
But
been
a good first
interviewing,
step would be at least like co-ops.
I'm sure it feels like this once in a
Let's see
while.
that.
Like, you want me and my skills or not? Like, what up? Like,
Every fucking interview, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not 20 years old anymore. I'm not gonna jerk 7 people off in this interview process. Just do you want this? Do you want my labor or do you not want my labor? I'm so over it. Like, I'm so completely over it. And I feel like that actually gets you further in interviews nowadays because they get a million people who are doing this fake, like, oh my God, I love your company and it's so amazing and I'm so eager to work there and meh, meh, meh. You get the one person who's like, yeah, I like, I can fix your problems, but you know, whatever. Like, do you want it? Do you not want it? Like, come on, let's go. Chop, chop, time's wasting. I feel like that's refreshing, especially given how many like interviews happen nowadays with companies in this like sort of situation. I want to
Are
go
they even
apply for a
giving-
job on LinkedIn.
are they even giving interviews? Like, I've been hearing that people aren't getting past the first one lately. Like, not that it's 6, 7, 8 rounds, but
Yep.
that, like, it's one and ghost. They're not hiring. You know, once in a while, there are some people that are being chased that are getting gigs occasionally. 1099, I think 1099 is unfortunately the way to go, but you also end up having to cover your own benefits often, and that is rough here, especially when subsidies just ended. But yeah.
99 is good, but make sure you're not being exploited because you're not a worker as a 1099. You have rights, and a lot of companies count on people not realizing that. So,
Well, if you only have one source of income as a 1099, you're effectively an employee. You're just not getting benefits.
but you've got additional like rights though. There's things like they can't set your schedule, they can't tell you like the salary or whatever is negotiable. You can't have a direct report. There's a bunch of different stuff that I didn't know when I first got my misclassification as an independent contractor.
Sure.
Oh no, I'm already getting quoted. This is not good.
Oh, this one I
wow.
found was pretty funny. Now, you work in an office with a bunch of different generations, right? You work with millennials, Gen Zs, Gen X.
Yeah, Gen Z translator.
Dude, this is really funny because he actually does both sides. So check this one out. Hang on, let's hit this one.
That's your quarterly performance metrics.
What?
He said, bestie, he wants to tell you how you've been slaying at work.
Oh, bet. That's actually fire. My numbers have been giving main character energy. All facts, no printer.
She's excited and confident. Her performance has been excellent. She's being honest with you.
I need you to work harder and focus on the synergistic optimization of your deliverables.
He's saying bet. He wants you to lock in and make your work hit different.
Say less. I'm about to be so locked in, it's not even funny.
She understands exactly what you're saying, and she'll focus and be intense about her work.
Oh, that's great.
See? Gen Zs and millennials can work together.
Hey, but we need to discuss your quarterly.
Nice.
Oh God, I can't believe millennials are the old ones now.
Right? But like the one in the chair sounds like my fucking daughters, and that's frightening to me. Like bet and all the terms just unfortunately I understood what she was saying, and I as a Gen Xer should not. So maybe that's even Gen I descent in bloom, since she's saying that as for a Gen Z, she doesn't talk like that. So what the fuck? I don't know. You
I
haven't
talk
got
like that, and I'm not Gen Z.
PMC part of Gen Z, or millennial. I mean, you're I guess you're Gen Z. I mean, say less. Yes, say less. Say less. That is a great line. All right. So I started trolling around, and I figured this is perfectly appropriate for Himbo right now. Realizing that the majority of my job is fixing problems I didn't create with resources I don't have for people who get paid twice what I do. And of course,
literally exactly what's happening right now.
Eric Roberts
And
is the perfect
everybody's
meme.
like pointing fingers. Yeah. No, that's perfect. Because right now at my job, everybody's pointing fingers for like a bunch of really shitty decisions at the tippy top, because it's always really shitty decisions at the tippy top, right? And they're like, why didn't you put out our fires good enough? And we're like a bare bones team to begin with, so it's like, what are you expecting, bro? Like, and they're like, the biggest audacity of this fucking company, I'm going to tell you right now. You've got executives complaining to us that like some of the disgruntled customers are emailing them private, like on their actual emails. And I'm like, you do realize we handle like hundreds of these people every week, right? Like we just deal with that every week, like hundreds of people, while you just sit in a cushy office chair. You realize that, right? And like you got one or two of them and you're like shook over it. And then I'm like, has this guy ever even worked in customer success? Has he ever worked in tech before? And then I looked up his shit and I'm like, he hasn't. Okay. Good shit. Good stuff. Good stuff. We're all having fun here.
Isn't that great? When we have to, responding to the manager that doesn't know how to do your job. I love that. Yep.
Can't I just be a full-time berserker or something? My people weren't made for this
All right,
bullshit.
this one, we do once in a while get a decent manager.
That's me.
It's your life, bitch!
You showed up, who gives a fuck? You showed up late?
You're late to work, who gives a fuck?
Come on.
That's me. I'm like, listen, if you can do your output, I don't give a shit about anything else. I don't care if you're coming late. I don't care if you sleep half the fucking day. If you can handle your output, that's all. That's all that matters. You're sick, take the day off. I don't care. I will tell my boss to go fuck himself. That's the kind of manager I am. And I've been in management for a while now. As long as you can handle your output, I do not care. Take as
Same
many
here, just get it done.
I don't give a shit.
Get your shit done.
As long as you can get your shit done, I don't care. Look, if you want to just not work all day and then just hammer some shit out for 3 hours, if you get your KPIs in, if you get your output, again, do not care.
Jesus.
Do not care one bit.
Yeah.
Oh shit, am I freezing? Let me
Are
speed
you?
test. Let me speed test.
No, you're good to me. I see you.
I don't know.
But this one's also, you know.
Let me...
Go ahead.
No.
How we doing?
Oh no, I was just gonna say my connection seems fine. So
Yeah,
no,
you're good on my side. So Ricky Bobby decided he was also going to weigh in on the current job market because
about getting a gun and dealing crack, being a crack dealer, but not like a mean crack dealer, but like a, like a nice one. Just kind of friendly, like, hey, what's up, guys? You want some crack?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking about getting a gun and dealing.
Well, you know, different strokes, I guess. You know, he ended up delivering pizzas.
I'm that, except I'm like, I might just like start a revolution. I might just, start handing out pamphlets in Ottawa. Just see what happens.
You did escape to Cuba, so you were halfway there already. You came back. That was your problem.
That
coming back.
I immediately regretted coming back. I'm
sure.
Like, first off, like I went back to everybody being miserable. And I covered this on my stream. I did a whole video on Troll Pilled on this, but like everybody over there has way less than we do. They are so much happier because they're not trapped in this bullshit we are, where like your entire self-worth as a human being is based on like your productivity and basically how your labor can be exploited. That is essentially your entire worth under a capitalist country. And to escape to that, I noticed the rest of the world is just happier. It doesn't matter how much they have. They're happier not being under that weird...
Own nothing and you'll be happy? Is that what you're saying? Did you just say that?
Yeah, if you own nothing, you'll be happy. They're playing the long game. They're playing the long game. They're secretly working with the Cuban Communist Party.
Now, I pulled this one specifically for you, my friend, because I knew you would feel this.
Today's subject, slavery.
When the boss says, I trust you to run the team meeting while I'm off, today's subject is slavery. Yes, I can totally see Himbo doing that 100%. Right?
Dude, I have run out of how many direct reports I had that I've radicalized where they complained to me about shit, and I'm like, yeah, so that's because the racket we got going on is that my job, I've explained this to direct reports, and it's actually created a better work relationship. I've explained to direct reports, I'm like, so look, here's the deal. Okay. The system exists to exploit your labor. I, as a manager, are here to manage you to make sure that you are always okay with the fact that you're being exploited and manage your expectations whenever you encounter something that obviously makes you kind of buck at your role here. But make no mistake, you guys are doing the labor. You guys are the most important people at the company. And that's what I say to all my direct reports as a manager. I'm like, listen, y'all are the reason I eat at night. Okay? You guys are the ones doing the work. Everybody else is just sitting in cushy positions and just thinking up stupid bullshit or making up busy work. You guys are the ones keeping the lights on.
You know, it's funny. We're going to have an article that talks about that and the elimination of a middle management position. And what the hell are we going to do with all these, six-figure plus level people that have families and mortgages, and that whole thing's going to collapse, I guess. Wow, it's going to get ugly is all I can say.
Wouldn't it be crazy if everyone just went into debt and that was actually the intention of the ruling class, that they wanted us to all go into debt? Just planting seeds, just
50-year mortgages? No, I mean, I can't imagine that was part of their plan, between college that's unaffordable and 50-year mortgages. Yeah, here's another one.
We're so down bad.
Go ahead.
This is how down bad we are. Sorry, real quick. I have a buddy on Facebook, the reaction factory of the world. I had a buddy on Facebook literally say, what is the difference between a 50-year mortgage and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy? Nothing. And I said, I just linked my channel. That was it. That's all I did. I'm like, if you want to understand what's happening, go nuts. Because there is no difference. There never has been. They're going to get their technocracy. They're going to get their techno feudalism one way or another. And at this point, we just need to wake people the fuck up, like right now, man. We got to wake them up. Anyway, let's
try to put your money into something beyond stablecoin that has no inherent value, that is pinning itself to dog shit to begin with. Yeah, that might not be such a great idea for your money. And I know it's hard. Like, what do you do? Because you have to put your money into somewhere and into some currency. I would certainly trust the US dollar more than I would trust Tether or Circle or World Liberty Financial One Coin, anything because it's all pegged to the US dollar. So why do you, and even Bitcoin, like what ROI are you getting out of Bitcoin other than the growth itself based on the baseball card demand value based on scarcity and hype, effectively. All right. But, we talked a lot about return to office and what bullshit that was. And this is the part of the reality of return to office, right? Which is we need to be back in the office for collaboration. And that's the collaboration.
Yeah.
Like
that's what happens at our office.
We're all on Zoom all fucking day. Like with each other in the office. What are we doing? Well, we called what that was almost 3 years ago, or definitely 2 years ago.
We called it here. It's
commercial real estate. It was all about commercial real estate. Yep. Get back in the fucking office. We're spending too much money. That and control. They did not like people being able to do whatever they want and not be monitored. So they use that eye tracking software, and people came up with clever ways around that, to say the least. And I mean, just trust your people to deliver, and they do. And that's, again, productivity was never the problem.
I'll say it forever. This is why KPIs exist. Okay? All of this bullshit doesn't matter. That's why you have KPIs. If you're a manager, manage your KPIs. That's all you need to do. Every week, set things up. I've done this from scratch, so I know it can be done. Okay. Just set things up so you have reliable ways to measure the productivity of your direct reports. As long as that's good, you don't need any of this. But again, like we covered on Nobody Wants to Work Anymore here on INN previously, it's not actually about that.
Nope.
I think there's a little bit of I think there's a little bit of upper management, creepy dudes who just want to kind of harass their female employees at work. I think that's a little bit a part of it.
I do.
But the majority of it is just, no, they just want that. It's just commercial real estate. That's it. There's also an ecosystem around office culture. Don't forget, there's all those shops, all those coffee shops, all those lunches,
restaurants.
If you work in sales, you've taken a lot of people out to lunch. If you worked in sales, if you're a corporate executive, you got those meetings. There's a whole ecosystem.
There's also expense accounts that
it's nothing
disappear.
to do with productivity either.
Right.
Yep, that too.
No, productivity was actually higher throughout pandemic because people were happier. They were able to get their own stuff and manage family. Now, part of the problem is that their family life tanked because they never really stopped working. If anything, the companies got more productivity, more hours out of the money they were paying because people really were not able to delineate between home and office nearly as well in being out of the office. It's just finding a way to balance that, and also finding something that you'll not mind doing in those hours too. And that's kind of always been my thing is, I've took that on because I wanted to do that. It's not because I had to. Thankfully, not everyone's in that position. I understand. Again, that's coming out with privileges and shit. Yeah, that's a bummer, Cowboy Kitty. I know we've been talking about your sister-in-law Natalia, and we'll get to that later on. But I wanted to talk about more. We want to try to keep it a little bit light and do some office shit, and then we'll get to some heavier stuff that's going down. But this one, whenever someone sends me a random hi on Teams, right? You get those. Hi.
What the fuck do you want?
Accurate.
What the fuck do you want?
What?
It's always some idiotic bullshit too. It's always some stupid bullshit. It's always the dumbest question on earth. I got a random hi from, I don't know, a team lead who worked over in CX. It was like, hey, I just wanted to know, do you have an update on this escalation yet? And I'm like, did you look at the ticket? Because I left like a whole Zendesk page of notes for you. Did you look at the ticket, or did you just stare at a thing and ask me to summarize it for you? Am I ChatGPT? I'm saying this all in my head as I'm kind of nice guy wording it. But I'm like, did you do any work before reaching out to me whatsoever? Because that's what I do in all my escalations. I leave detailed notes of everything. So anyone who looks at the ticket knows exactly everything that's going on very quickly. I do that. I don't even need to do that. I do that as a fucking courtesy so that we can all work more synergistically. But this guy's like, do you have an update on the ticket? And I just had to politely say, if you actually go and look at the ticket, it tells you that there's not only not an update, but there's an ETA at the very bottom. So you don't have to bother me.
Because you always get those
ADHD, even worse than it's being.
It's always the random ones from people that you don't regularly interact with. I mean, normally, if you get one of those from people you talk with regularly, you're just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like part of an ongoing discussion. But once in a while, you get that rando one and you're just like, what the fuck is this all about? Like that, especially the larger a company you work for, and the last company I worked for had almost 1,000 employees worldwide. I would have that pretty often. And usually if it was a boss, especially, it was like, oh, the fuck do you want now? Like, usually it was not going to be good.
Yeah. And the other thing too, it's like the other thing that sucks too is when I don't know if you guys have gone through this before, but if you get like the retention department and they're like trying to ask you like, well, this customer said they were upset with a recent interaction, and you have to explain to them, it's like, yeah, I basically had to tell them very nicely that they fucked up. And instead of accepting that they fucked up and realizing that we're all human and we make mistakes and that's okay, and you shouldn't like take it out on any other vector than just accepting your mistake, he decided to like make a big stink and like yell at you over it. And then I broke it down and he was like, okay, well, any way we can. And I'm like, what? Like undumbass him? I don't know what to tell you. He has no idea what he's doing. I can't like magically make him know what he's doing.
No,
that's not within my realm. So
well,
I can't. I'm dumb fuck.
But you're customer success. So, you're supposed to make the customer succeed. Come on, that I thought that was your job, man.
I don't want them. I don't want them to succeed.
No. If they succeed, they leave me the fuck alone. You can be sure I want them to succeed, because then they won't keep bothering me. But yeah, that's
the problem is. The problem is the most problematic. You know LTV, right? You work close enough to me to understand, like, you know, LTV, spend, all that, metrics. Like, this is a high priority customer and all that. The ones that spend the most, at least where I'm at right now, they're not the ones that are the problem. It's the people who spend the least, so the company doesn't care about them. That I gotta spend the most energy on, because they're people who literally don't know what they're doing. And I don't know if this is just an American thing, because I'm Canadian, don't forget, but we do work with Americans. I've noticed a lot of Americans have this habit where they're completely wrong about something and they're completely confident that they're right about it. To a level that I have no words for.
Almost to a gaslighting level.
Like this.
Yes.
Yes. So for example, this one guy was like, and I'm well versed in American, you know, tax law, all that. So one guy was convinced that he needed to file 1099s for his full-time employees. I had to tell him, no, that's not how this works. And he proceeded to tell me that that was actually how that worked. And that W-2s were for contractors. So, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to navigate that situation, right? And he's completely confident on this. I have sent him IRS documentation. I've sent him like help center articles. He's convinced. He's like, no, they're wrong. And I'm like, the IRS is wrong about stuff you need to do with the IRS. Is that where we're at?
Sure.
So, do you smell burning bakery products? Are you smelling burning? At this point, I'm like, does this guy need medical attention?
Well, speaking of
like,
smelling,
once you give them
burning bakery product, I got this one. Oh yeah. Never. Okay, now wait. Do you have sound pods in your office so that you can have like a secure, quiet phone call? Do you have like that, or do you have actual offices? Because this is specific to the sound pod office, right? And this is, I guess, more modern stuff. So this one cracked me up.
So.
The face. Just don't ever go in the booth after Derek. That's the warning. Yes, crop dusting the sound pod is absolutely correct, Bill. That's what's going on here. He's
Another reason why nobody wants to do an office. Okay, I'm sorry, guys, for all of my fellow remote work people. Do you remember that motherfucker that was always crop dusting the office? You just walk by, you're going to the printer, or maybe you need to go like get something from the receptionist's desk or something. Something. And then you just smell like the worst beer fart, the worst like peanut butter fart of your life. And then it just lingers and you just got to work in that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like offices were a mistake. At this point, if I'm going to smell a fart, I know it's mine. And we always like our own blend. So.
Well, this is why I work from home is all I'd say. And I worked from home since long before it was cool, since long before COVID. I was in sales and on the road and had my own business in 2011, 2012. So I haven't gone to an office really other than, for a sales meeting since 2005. I was way ahead of the curve and y'all just caught up to me because I figured out a long time ago, like, I'm done with that shit. And I will try to finagle a way to never have to go back. And it's been more than 20 years since I've regularly had to go into an office. At this point, if it's ever going to be an office, it'll be one that I run myself, where I've got people that are making phone calls and trying to schedule appointments to close deals so that we can all eat. And that's the next goal. That's where I want to go with that next is I think personal assistant might be the next step, and then we'll look at more employees from there. But we're getting there, thankfully. So that's a good thing. But yes, crop dusting Derek, fuck you, dude. That's really fucked up stuff. And then, so we talked about LinkedIn.
We all have a crop dusting Derek.
So every office, but we talked about LinkedIn, and I used to rely very heavily on my LinkedIn network, and I just found that it's turned into a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of people that are humble bragging, and you'll see a bunch of the personalities listed here. Actually, I need to take that back so I can unmute it. And let's check out what this cat does because he's funny.
I'm humble and grateful to announce I've received a certificate for using Microsoft Word. I'm honored to be promoted to Analyst 2. I'm proud of my team for delivering key KPIs to the client.
I pretended to be a homeless person for 24 hours, and this is what it taught me about e-commerce. I miss all my child's soccer matches because I want them to grow resilient and strong and stand out in interviews. I work unpaid overtime because I want my boss to succeed.
Someone you don't know posted an article that has nothing to do with you. Your high school classmate who you haven't talked to in 10 years has celebrated their work anniversary. 90 people view your profile. You are so special. Now please buy premium to see who they are. You need 8 years of experience for this entry-level job. The salary for this job is competitive, but also classified. Apply for this job that was listed 4 hours ago and already has 500 plus applications.
That's another thing.
Oh, this place sucks.
500 plus applications is the reality. All right, in 4 hours. 4 hours, you're sleeping. What are you doing? All right?
Yeah. And the thing is, eventually it's going to get to the point where you're going to see articles where it's like LinkedIn has a job desert where everybody's just going to decide, like, you know what? Fuck this. I give up. This is pointless. I'm just wasting my time for no reason whatsoever. None of this goes anywhere. And then you're going to see all the employers complaining that they can't fill jobs after creating this mess. This completely unworkable mess that is trying to find a job in 2025.
Well, I don't know if they're going to complain because they kind of don't want to fill the jobs. They're looking to cut heads. We're going to talk about all the reductions in force and the layoffs and the things that are happening on top of the move to AI that you also have some stuff that we're going to get to tonight. I think it actually kind of plays in nicely to where we're going, and which is the other thing that I found, which is on anti-work on Reddit, which I'm not a huge Redditor, but I found this one, which is that the new American dream is get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out.
All right. I just read an article about someone who left the U.S. for Portugal and now works 20 hours a week, has health care, and actually enjoys their life. Go figure. Meanwhile, here, people are grinding 50-plus hours just to barely afford rent and groceries. It's crazy that leaving the country feels more realistic than making it here. The old American dream was about building a good life, and now it's about finding a way out. We went from work hard and succeed to work nonstop and still drown. Honestly, the new dream is just peace. Again, it's going to be about who you know and the kind of multiple income streams that you can establish for yourself outside of your normal 9-to-5 job that's going to make the difference for you, that may eventually free you from being able to go to that 9-to-5 job. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It took me decades to build up the network so that the opportunity came at that moment and said, hey, we need someone to help. Are you interested? Where do I sign? And I had no idea whether it was going to pop or not. And it took a good 2 years before things actually started to. And it takes time, dedication, and being able to stick with it, which, again, not everyone can afford to do. I totally understand that. And that was a privilege as well, but I also had to sacrifice and power through a lot of that stuff without an income at times when a lot of people had one and we needed one, and relied on some help and support and, Medicaid where we had to. And thankfully there was some of that, and now they're pulling all that too. So it's like everybody's got, super real issues here that, man, we've got to figure out a way through and to get all these people with some gun. There used to be this idea, the MMT guys talked about federal job guarantee. Like, there's enough work still that needs to be done that if you want to work, you should be able to get a job. I genuinely feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That should always be the thing. The problem is we're so intertwined. Our governments are so intertwined with capital at this point that they're essentially subservient to it. They have been for a long time. So from capital's perspective, the problem they have with that is that they need, and this is a very clear Marxian concept. You need the scarcity. You need the scarcity of work, the scarcity of employment, because that is the only way the capitalists are able to keep the wages down. They're able to keep people desperate, and they're able to get away with people not asking for more. People not saying, that's a shit offer, I'm going to pass. And then a bunch of people saying that's a shit offer, I'm going to pass. Because they need people desperate. They need people afraid. And that's because we live under a system, again, where, if you're just unlucky, if you can't find a job for a long enough period of time, all of a sudden the ability to survive in 2025, time in our species history where we have the technology to absolutely keep every last person afloat, there is a very real fear that if you do not have a income stream for long enough, you're essentially going to starve to death and freeze. So that's what they need. They need that scarcity.
They need DoorDash is what they need. They need people driving Uber and DoorDash and all that. And the succubots are going to take your gerbs. Well, again, for as long as DoorDash isn't going to be using bots, because that's what's coming in a lot of places. Golden Monarch with a good idea. If you do actually, ironically, need a job ASAP, go apply in person, and you'd be surprised. At least ask how you can apply in person, because it's about who you know, and meeting the hiring manager puts you way ahead of everyone that just submitted a resume. I totally agree there.
No, you're on the right page insofar as like the majority is online, so you want to kind of stand out. My fear is that like you go to a company nowadays and you're like, how can I apply blah blah blah? They just tell you to go to their website.
Right?
I feel like that's going to be the response there. They're going to be like, "Oh, well yeah, you can just go to the career page and fuck off now. Bye. I'm
Well,
about
see,
to crop dust the cafeteria."
The thing is, though, that we've seen a lot of stuff about that. If you do that, it guarantees that you're just going to be put at the bottom of a large pile. But what I was told was that strategically, you don't even want to apply through their website until someone at the company tells you to apply, so they can walk that resume into HR and make sure it gets seen and put to the top of the list. Because otherwise, you're spinning your wheels and hurting your chances, not helping. So it's an interesting perspective.
I mean, yeah.
Now
Every company is different, but I'm just saying that is a possibility. They're just gonna like point you to the website and like shoo you out the door.
Yeah, and some do. It depends if they're actually looking, because then we talk about the people that are listing, the companies that are listing jobs without any intention of filling them, just to be able to show their shareholders and make it look like they're hiring, or they have all intent to hire internally, but have to list the job because that's, you know, they feel like they need to do that and open it up to everyone, at least to make it fair. Now, we also just went through a federal shutdown here that's lasted for more than 50 days, where you had people that weren't getting paid, a lot of people that weren't getting paid. You had EBTs turned off. And that's when the Democrats really shit their pants and decided that they had to run back and get something done, because they were getting crushed in the PR game. Which is amazing, because they literally did not control any of the three houses of Congress or any of the three branches here. And yet they're the ones that took all the blame because they had to have 8 senators cross the aisle and cave. Which is fucking nuts that they did. Because we know that if the shoe were on the other foot, would there have been one Republican that would have crossed the aisle to make it happen?
Fuck no. Fuck no.
No.
Because one, like, it's eternally, the two-party system is eternally just good cop, bad cop. That's what it's always been. But they both work at the police station. So that's the best analogy I can kind of come up with for the situation we have with Republicans and Democrats in America. Up here, liberals and conservatives. I guess they just have like more accurate names up here. I don't know, an extra IQ point. But
and they love funding the cops too. But I brought this one that I found in one of our favorite websites, the Trots World Socialist website. Okay. And this was interviewing a furloughed. Yeah, but they at least go on the street and, you know, love them, hate them. You know, they actually do try to report from a worker's perspective, somebody who is earning an hourly wage on the floor of a factory somewhere. And I don't see enough people that go to the people on the floor and ask them questions. World Socialist website consistently does that. I give them credit for that. They also think that
for sure. I'm just
every
doing
union
inside
boss is
baseball.
shit. No, yeah, I know. And that every union boss is shit, which I agree with. And that every contract that the union bosses sign with management is a sellout contract. Try to find any World Socialist website article about a contract that was signed between a union and the company where they didn't call it a sellout deal. I'd love to see that. I haven't seen it in 5 years. All right. But they did talk to this person who says that they were doing civil service for this country. Nobody's looking out for us, and we're the ones standing in line for food. All right. And that's what's been going on, which is that the food banks, and shout out to our friend Keith McHenry, he said he's never seen it like this from Food Not Bombs. And thankfully, there are people who, out of the goodness of their heart, that are filling these food pantries and these Food Not Bombs sites that are feeding the hungry. But a reporter from World Socialist website visited a food bank in Bellingham, Washington, approximately 90 miles north of Seattle. Spoke with volunteers, people who stood in line for food assistance because they lost their SNAP benefits. So they talked to Sandy, who's a volunteer at the food bank, as well as other local food distribution locations and shelters, and described that increase in the number of people seeking food assistance. And after their SNAP benefits were stopped, saying that the lineup outside has doubled since the cutoff. Was not a surprise. Large increase in the volume of food need. Suppliers are stepping up, but there's a lag time to respond to this. Of course there is. Again, this is all the Republican point, so they can extract pain and then turn around and blame it on the Democrats. And the Democrats kneel to this and somehow cater to, again, it's Harlem Globetrotters versus Washington Generals, and they're all playing a script. But the fact that people don't see it and choose actively not to see it, and also have not called out the Democrats on not taking any action to try to stop any of this stuff in the last 9 months since this guy took over. So we've got, again, it's only the first week. Go ahead.
This is the party that made excuses for a fucking genocide. Just saying.
Well, both.
I'm always going to point back to that. Yeah, well, both, but, working tirelessly for a ceasefire, that's all they have. They just have, empty words. They don't do anything other than that. They never have done anything other than that. And the sooner people accept that, the sooner they can realize that they are falling for a fucking scam.
Right.
That's what we all do here at Independent Media. We try and get people to acknowledge that they're being played.
But yeah, here, now they're relying on us.
Late in the hour, people.
Relying on us to make up what they're no longer getting. Demand always increases at the end of the month when people's benefits run out, but now we're seeing that kind of demand already at the beginning of the month, and it's only the first week. Now, thankfully, hopefully, with the government being able to reopen and SNAP benefits, I think, are going to be restored, that will start to ease. But again, there's going to be a lag time. There may be a week or 2 or 3 till that gets back. And you've got Thanksgiving coming up, too. Here's Michael, who came into the food bank for the first time. I used to volunteer at the Union Gospel Mission myself. It really drains you seeing the effects that all this has on people in society. He lost his job as a day laborer, and that's why he needed to come there. And we're seeing more of this. Moved into a tiny home in Garden View after being homeless for a couple of years. Picking up today for myself and an elderly lady who lives near me. She can't get out. I used to get $300 a month in SNAP, but when I called the office, they don't have anything coming for me anymore. Just, how do you live on $300 less than when you were barely living on $300 to begin with? Now you have nothing. Another one. I have a family of 5.
Red lines.
Right, but I thought that was supposed to happen under communism.
Yeah, communism is when bread lines, but capitalism is when, well, just different bread lines, I guess, and at a far more exponential rate.
Well, they all
to the
laugh.
point where it's almost like comical.
They go to a supermarket and they say, well, bread lines up for you because there's all these choices, but they're certainly not given choices. All right. Benefits were helping this family of 5 survive. Now they're struggling to find food. Place helps a lot. Husband has to DoorDash on top of it just to make ends meet. And I know that that's reality for some people right here in this conversation, in this chat. All right. Crisis is devastating on working class and poor people of all ages. Snap gets $24 a month because he owns a car. So the qualifiers, and someone I know that was very close to me said a long time ago that the only people who survive in this country are the super rich and the super poor, because there are services and benefits for the super poor, and everyone in between gets squeezed. Right?
Yeah, perfect example. Perfect example. Anyone who's ever been on disability. Disability is not enough money to live on. We know that. Up here in Canada, ODSP last I checked is like maybe max 1,200, could be give or take. But that's for rent, that's for food, that's your monthly allotment for survival, which is clownish and ridiculous. But if you bring in additional income past a point, they claw it back. So it's essentially a system where it's like it'll keep you from immediately starving, but the second you actually start to like kind of pull yourself out of that, that's where you get screwed. Because the second it's like, oh, you've got a car, oh, you have another source of income coming in, which first off, like if you're living on disability, you almost need another source of income, or to, stay with like a family member or something, because there's no way you can survive on that meager income on your own. It's not a dignified life.
Their means testing isn't even really a mean at all. Like, what they need to do is means test at the top and only pay out if you have under a certain income level. But what's ending up happening is they're means testing the bottom. And the other thing that, look, they could fix Social Security tomorrow if they just lifted the cap for high income people. Right now it's at $120,000 or $130,000 a year. And anything beyond that, they don't continue to pay in Social Security tax. And if they lifted that for high income earners, it would go a long way toward closing that gap. But getting
means testing, more memes testing. Am I right, guys?
At the high end, though, like making sure that they can cover their bills. That's what means is. Not mean being the average of what everyone has, but the average of what it actually takes to survive. But here's another woman in Alicia, a young worker who says that she lives in a very low-income neighborhood where she and many of her neighbors benefit from SNAP and WIC. Okay, that at first, that women, the WIC is the Women and Infant Food Program. At first, the energy here was palpably angry, followed quickly by a desire to calm down and share resources because they're starving otherwise. There were food access events posted on the neighborhood Facebook page, food bank times and locations. Neighborhoods are stepping up to help each other. Sadly, I covered a thing on Tuesday night where there was this lady who's been on TikTok calling churches and asking and saying, look, she's got like a sound of a crying baby in the background, and like, hey, I need like formula to feed my baby. Can you help me? And I think she called over 45 churches, and only 9 of them had helped out. And wow, it just depressing to hear. And the people who did, the churches that did, got like massive amounts of donations after they saw this stuff on TikTok or wherever they saw it, Instagram. All right, but she said, it shifted, that confusion and uncertainty. It reminds her of the time shortly before COVID, when they all started to hear rumors, but nothing really changed, right? Don't think the anger's gone. Real rage behind the fear. And it is, because who's getting squeezed? All right, she spoke about the immediate lead up to the end of SNAP. In the last week of October, people were stocking up on bulk staples like rice and beans in preparation. They were told, all right, 20-pound bags of rice, because we don't know if we'll have enough food otherwise. And it's especially bad considering, again, the holidays are coming up. It's just brutal. Again, this is World Socialist website, and they're trying to find these cases. Here's another furloughed federal employee, all right, at the food bank in D.C. charities. In D.C., you got charities and organizations in the area have organized events exclusively for unpaid and furloughed federal workers due to the high level of need in that area. And then you've got the TSA workers who went to work. Now, I think they still got paid, but I don't even know who paid them. Who came to work and actually cut those checks? Because the GAO was closed, right? So just, here's another one. I've been deployed, came back home to this job, and now I'm in line for a food bank, literally. This is how we're treating our veterans. All right? Awful. So
because they don't care. They don't care. I will always say this about the United States of America and its many satellites, of which Canada is one. They don't give a fuck about you once you can't die for them. And that's some real talk. They do not care once you do not have something the empire can exploit from you. And they show it. They show it. They show it every single time a group of people essentially it just falls under the cracks. But at this point, you got millions of people falling under the cracks. Got the same up here in Canada. But we don't even pretend to address the problem whatsoever. What we do up here in Canada is we're like, oh, you can't afford anything? Have you thought about maybe letting us kill you? That's how bad it's gotten up here.
That's Maid. We covered Maid like 2 years ago on this show. I seem to recall. And then you covered it on the Maple Files. Go check out those episodes.
Nobody wants to live anymore.
Right?
We can make another show.
Nobody wants to eat anymore. Yes, I know, Ghost Art. I don't say taxpayer funds. It is all government issued because the MMTers will scream at you that nothing happens until money is willed or spent into existence by the government because they are the currency issuer. I'm not going to have that whole argument conversation. There's no Social Security trust. I mean, technically, it's still an IOU. There was a Social Security trust. It's just that our government in the 2000s decided they were going to borrow against it and never decided to pay it back. But it was solvent and needs to continue to be solvent because people are certainly going to continue to need to get paid out Social Security. And we got to take care of, our elderly somehow. They've got to be able to eat and survive and under this disgraceful, crazy system that we live in. So, everyone was worried about their job because we've seen layoffs coming. Everyone's been worried about their job because we saw the federal government shrinking and the shutdown, and people were worried, are they going to get it back? But how about people that were just worried about getting arrested at their fucking job, which has been happening more and more often lately? Yeah. So this one out of Left Voice. Yeah, go ahead.
We're at that point, guys. We're at Gestapo o'clock. Don't fool yourself into thinking this is anything other than this. This is absolutely exactly what you're seeing.
Right. So this was at a car wash.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God. What are we doing?
What are we doing? Like, what's it costing to have all these federal agents surround this car to arrest one person who would go peacefully? All right. On Tuesday, November 4th, nearly a dozen cars surrounded a car wash in the Boston neighborhood of Alston-Brighton, where masked agents, of course they're masked, blocked entrances and prohibited anyone from leaving. They quickly detained 9 people working outside during the raid, including 6 women, while kids inside the car wash watched as their mother was taken away. Nice. Workers not allowed to go inside to retrieve their work permits or identification, and ICE made, of course, no effort to enter the facility to identify anyone they were arresting. Why would they do that? These workers were kidnapped and whisked away in one of the largest workplace ICE raids Massachusetts has ever seen. And this has been going on, that they've been snatching people up now at their jobs or wherever they can. I talked about this Tuesday night, and part of this is because there is a federal mandate to arrest 3,000 immigrants a day. And they don't even necessarily care if they're guilty or if they did anything wrong or whatever, but they don't want to get in trouble for not doing it. So they're doing it. And they're getting paid massive bonuses to sign up.
It's because they're building. That's right. What people need to understand. Everybody asks, like, why are they spending so much on the ICE stuff? What is the end goal? They are building. They are building. They are creating a force that, I mean, if AOC wins in 2028, you'll definitely see her use that to her benefit. Whoever's next, they're
Cop
building.
City. That's what the Cop Cities were for, man.
Yep. They are building a force that is going to ultimately suppress the proletariat. It's going to start with immigrants, but that's how they always start. They blame immigrants on capitalism and the reason why you're not making enough. They're going to use immigrants as the ultimate scapegoat for creating this like scary secret police sort of situation that's happening.
Yeah.
It's not going to end with immigrants. And pro tip, they're already not just stopping with immigrants.
And shout out to Jen Budd, who's in the Substack chat. She's written about Border Patrol taking over ICE, and I read that article on Tuesday night. And that's pretty crazy. And all these thugs that are running Border Patrol, and that this has been a long-term plan. But this is a crazy stat. ICE arrested over 1,400 people in Massachusetts in September.
That's so fucked, man.
And are all of them, quote unquote, here illegally? No, a lot of them had work permits, were here legally. They had green cards, they had permanent resident cards, they had whatever it is. But ICE is just putting them in a facility because they're getting paid by the government in order to do so. Yeah, Gestapo Gatriots. That's, well, sure, Kurt. That's one way to look at them. Sure. Victims of the car wash kidnapping
wouldn't it be crazy if they started? Wouldn't it be? Sorry, go ahead.
No, wouldn't it be crazy if they started what?
Wouldn't it be crazy if they started going after people who were demonstrating because they didn't like kids being blown up with 2,000-pound bombs? Wouldn't that be crazy if that started happening? Oh, right.
Oh, right. Fuck. Yeah. As it says above, that Ramesia Öztürk, Mahmoud Khalil, they've already started doing that, even though Mahmoud Khalil wasn't protesting, but trying to negotiate to get the protesters out of Hintz Hall. But that's a whole other story. ICE, of course, has denied victims lawyer visits while failing to provide beds, sinks, or showers to the people that they're holding. In addition, only 7 of the 9 workers kidnapped have even been located. 2 of the workers say they were denied food and phone calls for more than 2 days. Again, this is all part of the point, but where are they supposed? Like, it's insane what's going on. And you got the chuds that are like, yeah, do this. Like, really? People should come to your job and do that because you were here doing all the right things and here legally and applying through the process? These abhorrent attacks on the immigrant community are deliberate. Right. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, the chuds don't believe. I'm sorry, this is just the correct take on this, and I'll fight anybody on this. The chuds don't think it applies to them because they're fucking white. That's the correct answer. A lot of what lies behind all of this immigrant posturing is literally just basically enabling people's innate settler colonial racism. And that's what it is. Because they're like, yeah, take down those immigrants because those immigrants aren't white. And you see that because they make a million exceptions for any immigrant who is fucking white. So that's a big part of it as well.
But it's kind of like,
the Chuds are fine with it.
The government's doing the opposite of they can't get us all. Like, you can't get them all. Like, you can't save them all. You can't prevent all of them from being deported. You can't prevent all of them from being mistreated in our facilities. Like, they're going on a volume basis. 1,400 people in Massachusetts in September alone. We've never seen anything like this in this country. Not in decades or more. And you know, you got to stand up and speak and say something now because otherwise there won't be anyone, you know, it's the poem. Like, you got to speak up.
To speak for you. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, local labor movement has a large role to play, shown by Boston SEIU members rallying in solidarity. Remember, they arrested the SEIU guy, David Huerta, and had him locked up in a facility for a while. Right? Again, not guilty of anything, did not commit a crime, and is here legally. In some cases, they've held citizens. Over 170 U.S. citizens have been arrested by ICE. A lot of them released without charges. But Nobody can sue ICE for the mistreatment. It's pretty wild. Again, here's the Hopi changey left voice, hopeful hopium. By uniting the labor and immigrant rights movements, we can begin to build spaces of self-organization for community members to democratically discuss a strategy to resist these attacks. I think we're almost past that at this point. We got to all get on board together.
No, guy, dude. Listen. Go look up any revolution. Go study how it happened and what happened during it, and I'll leave it there.
It's going to be messy, unfortunately.
Yes, because you can't like sorry please your way out of fascism, which as a Canadian hurt me a lot to say. I would like to apologize my way into Marxism, Leninism, but unfortunately that's probably not going to happen. Revolutions happen because people do not have another option. That's why these extreme measures are taken, because all other roads are blocked. Right? So, I mean, it's all great if you want to organize and like democratically think of ways to, I don't know, write strongly worded letters, but we're probably going to need more than that at this point. We're probably going to need something like mass civil disobedience. And I'm not advocating for violence. Not yet. Just kidding, in a video game. GG no re. But I am saying we are going to need something like a general strike or mass civil disobedience at this point. Because if you really want to make a difference, you have to threaten capital.
Come on, May 1st, 2028, the UAW is going to do it. Come on, Himbo. You know Sean Fain's going to lead the charge. He's going to lead the revolution, right?
Did you see that where they were doing, I think it was like an anti-ICE sort of demonstrate. They were doing like yoga or something. It was like a yoga. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Like, what is this? What do you think you're accomplishing?
Oh, that
I saw another one where it was like a bunch
I knew.
of
Stay
people.
weird, Portland. Come
What was
on,
that?
that was Portland, because they don't know what the fuck else to do at this point. Like, we're gonna protest peacefully. We might as well do it in neon colors, because otherwise, if we wear black, you beat us down and say that we're terrorists, right? So now we're just gonna dance in neon colors in front of you, and they're still gonna call them terrorists. It's just, what are we doing here?
Just own it. Just own it.
Stay weird, Portland. Gotta love them. So you brought this one, and I want to talk a little bit about, since this is a labor show and a show about working, there are a couple of strikes that are happening, and a big one that might be happening is in Las Vegas. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is out of Truth Out that you brought, and this is what? This is all the hotel workers, food service workers, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's about 400 food service workers at Harry Reid International Airport. And yeah, it was first off, like, they haven't, as you see on there, they're not only underpaid, they haven't gotten a raise in like a shitload of years. So years, guys. So again, everything else cost wise is going up. Your wages stay the same. So essentially what that means, as we've covered here before, we've tried to hammer into everyone's heads. That means that you are essentially taking a pay cut every fucking year, that you do not get a raise. Not just more money, thanks for your hard work, thanks for hitting your KPIs, thanks for working as hard as you can, thanks for all your surplus value. That's just to stay like level. So cost of living goes up, your wages don't go up. It's essentially the same as this. So
yep, your buying power keeps going down. But yeah, gig and service workers. Yeah. Right now, I've flown through Vegas airport. The people who work there work their asses off. They're standing, same as in any airport. They're standing all day long. It's a service thing. It's a sales thing. And there's a ton of travelers that go through that place every day. And it's a machine. It makes a ton of profit every day. So, And then it's these little fiefdoms and how they hire and how they choose to treat those employees, which you can see is not very well. You got 400 of them are literally about to go on strike because they have low pay, lack of legal protection, and insecure employment. Right. So I think you actually, this showed up on your radar because it literally quotes a Marxist feminist scholar, which I know is your bag.
You think I would just like highlight a like Marxist making an article, Indie? God.
ChatGPT, find me any articles that mention the word Marxist in the last week.
You know what though? ChatGPT's so fucked. It would probably be like, here's an article from the Daily Wire.
Yep.
Because I swear to God, at this point, I don't even know what AI is doing right now. It's gotten so wacky with it. I had an AI. I have to use AI for work, which sucks. But I caught the AI at work the other day, and I'm like, I did a query about like, I think it was like Alaska taxes, and it gave me some bullshit, and it just didn't make sense. So I'm like, hey, I don't think that's right. And you're like, you're right. It wasn't correct. And I'm like, so he just gave me information, then admitted the information was bullshit. And what are we doing here?
It's called
And then I tried to ask it
hallucinations.
why, and it's like, I tried to ask it why, and it's like, I don't know. And it's like, all right, glad my work is making us do this.
Well, you know, they've been giving out this garbage slop because it doesn't necessarily profess to have the right answer. What it professes is to have a consensus answer of all of the inputs that it actually is receiving, garbage and not. So that's why you're not really sometimes getting an accurate response out of it. And then it's, oh yeah, my bad, which is insane. But this CJ Polychroniou article, this is actually an interview that he did with Annie McClanahan, who wrote this book, right? Or it's coming out, Beneath the Wage, Tips, Tasks, and Gigs in the Age of Service Work. And all the different ways that this impending airport strike, all right, is fucking with the workers that are in the gig economy, in the hourly employee service economy, that are miserable in their jobs because they have to deal with the general public for absolute shit wages, all right, and miserable treatments. On top of the fact that they're not getting raises.
She argues in the book that essentially the service sector is way more vulnerable to exploitation than the manufacturing sector, for example, and lists out a lot of compelling reasons for it. But yeah, it's I plan on reading the book fully. I gave it kind of a pass, but yeah, I definitely want to check it out because, as you know, like the service economy is huge here in the West. Why? Because we don't fucking make anything anymore.
And the food service workers are like the ones that work at Auntie Anne's and the ones that work at, you know, Port Earl of Sandwich or Port of Subs, and that work at all these little shops that are along the different, you know, throughout the terminal. They have to go through security every fucking day just to get to work. Could you imagine having to go through airport security every day to get to work? Like it.
Oh, I would crop dust every day. I'd crop dust every day.
Definitely. But you wouldn't crop dust your coworkers because you guys are all in the same boat. You'd crop dust your bosses, right? But low wages.
We have to crop dust the boss.
Long hours, labor intensive. You can't speed it up with an assembly line or increase its output using economies of scale. I disagree with that. The bots are coming, and they're going to have the automated kitchens that are going to replace a lot of the workers, that you're going to order from a kiosk, and it's going to deliver the food via conveyor belt in time. I mean, you're looking at probably a decade out, but look at already how they get rid of all the waiters in the airports. And now they have tablets set up in like every station, and you basically order your food through the tablet and somebody just brings it out to you. And that's what they've replaced the people that take your order with, just literally bus boys and bus people and servers. They just bring it out.
Yep.
And that's it. And we're not that far off.
Personally, if I go out somewhere, I don't want to do like screen work. I'm getting away from the screen work if I'm going out somewhere. I look at a screen for 8 hours a day, and then I look at a screen more for my show, Tomorrow's News Today, propelled at YouTube.
But then we have to figure out how to use their system. Like, how do I fucking order?
Yeah,
they don't always make it easy. The UI isn't always easy, right?
You got to mess around now with like, no, the UI's dog shit. Or they do this thing where they're like, just scan this QR code and then you can fuck around with it on your phone. It's like, can I just talk to a person and tell them what I'd like to order from a menu? Because that's simpler than these technological solutions that you're obviously just implementing because you do not want to pay that person to come and take my order. Pay people money, because this is the biggest contradiction of capitalism that I've argued a million times over. Okay, it is ultimately beneficial for your business to be giving the working class purchasing power, because you also depend on that working class to purchase your goods and services.
Henry Ford, the Nazi, understood that.
Yes. Yes, he did. And if Nazis understand a thing, then you should be able to as well. This one bearded guy did too, but he's not important. Anyway.
So super exploitation. I thought that was an interesting term that she uses in the book. Okay. That comes from the radical theorist and activist Claudia Jones, who used it to describe the labor of black domestic workers. Also taken up by Marxist development economists writing about labor in the underdeveloped world. So not only are you extracting their labor, but you're underpaying them grossly on top of it because they're in a desperate situation and you're pitting them against each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where their compensation doesn't even cover their cost of living, or in which workers are simply compelled to work harder during a shift. Waffle House workers, for example, I would cite, they kill themselves and they're really abused. But again, Harry Reid Airport,
right? Mm-hmm. And they basically, Waffle House workers, you're basically fighting in a Mortal Kombat scene at that point. Anything can happen to Waffle House. I've seen that. I've visited the States. I saw a fist fight at a Waffle House, and nobody even seemed that surprised.
Oh.
It was in what's north of South Carolina? Forget I said that. That was the dumbest thing I think I've ever said.
Okay.
It was in North Carolina. It was in North Carolina, which is north of South Carolina. I'm pretty sure. But there was like a fist fight that broke out, and nobody even cared. Nobody gave a fuck. So, like, you're fighting in possibly like an active, like, American combat zone. And as a Canadian, this is bizarre to me because nothing like that shit happens up here. But it's just like people are just scrapping in a food place, like, and that's her job. So
it's, again, she's looking at super exploitation. What a surprise. Bears down with particular force on non-white and non-citizen workers, which is exactly, by the way, who the Trump administration is going after right now. The result is that a lot of workers in the service sector are trapped in a situation where they can't even afford necessary reproductive services they provide. Daycare workers that can't afford daycare. Care workers who can't afford health insurance. Food service workers who can't ensure a wage adequate to their basic subsistence. It's gross. Like, they have to serve the people when it's the cobbler's son that has no shoes. Literally, you know, they talk about that. And this is a long interview that I think had some other, I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to point to specifically in this article, because I know we've got some other stuff we wanted to get to. But
I know, I just wanted to admit that you kind of called me out completely. I may have gravitated towards this article because it was, you know, Marxist.
Mention a Marxist an interview with a Marxist. That's fair. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I just found it interesting that we happen to choose to do a labor story, a labor show tonight. And, you know, a long time ago, I did a lot of stories on Starbucks Workers United and their effort to organize, and they did it. In contrast to Amazon, the warehouses that tried to organize and could not vote themselves. Starbucks are much smaller. It's a much more tight-knit organization, and you know, these stores that have 10, 15, 25, 50 employees, it's different than a warehouse that has thousands where you're trying to get them all on the same page, and Amazon is spending millions of dollars trying to bust it. But Starbucks Workers United is their union, and they have not really gotten the respect out of corporate that they wanted. So today is the Red Cup Day, which is, I guess, Starbucks' new introduction to the Christmas season. They do this every year. It's one of their biggest days, right? So the baristas decided in 40 cities, we're going to walk off the job. Fuck it. We're done. 40 cities walked off the job.
Damn.
Busiest day. 12,000 workers could ultimately go on strike as the union escalates. So I brought this one from the union themselves. As of today, Starbucks workers across the country are officially on strike, and we're prepared for this to become the biggest and longest ULP strike in Starbucks history. Okay. Say no contract, no coffee with us. Don't buy Starbucks for the duration of our open-ended strike. Not a limited 2-day and then we all go back to work strike. All right, but a real, we're going to shut it the fuck down strike. Right? So here's one. Redmond, Washington, they forced the store to close. This is today.
So
We want it now.
God damn, that's based.
What do we want? When do we
Inject
want
that
it?
right into
What do we
my
want?
fucking veins.
When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want?
We need to be paid more. It's ridiculous, like what we have to go through
Disrupt
as
capital.
workers. We're telling Starbucks that they need to invest in us and they need to come back to the bargaining table so we can get a contract and we can be back at
It's the
work.
only thing they hear. Fuck with their money.
Starbucks wages. Union busting. Starbucks wages.
Nice. What's outrageous? Starbucks wages. What's disgusting? Union busting. Hell yeah, baby. Love it.
That's beautiful.
That is a beautiful thing. And again, this was coordinated in 40 states, 12 up as many as 12,000 Starbucks baristas. Now, at the same time, Starbucks announced that they're laying people off and that they're closing upwards of 300 stores nationwide. How much you want to bet this store ends up targeted? Because that's the shit that they've been doing. You know, when they tried pulling this in Buffalo, all right, they started firing the people in Buffalo and announcing store closures, and the court literally ordered them to reopen and rehire all those workers. So Starbucks workers are certainly doing it. So now, this is the other story you wanted to bring, which is the Canadian postal workers. So Pierre Lejeunesse, who is a Marxist up in Canada. Postal workers once again at a crossroads.
Weird how there's another one.
Yeah, there's one. There are a couple. Canada Post submits its transformation plan. Now, Canada Post, I believe, it's a private company, but it's funded by the government. I don't know the structure there. So help me out.
So Canada Post is what's essentially a crown corporation. So essentially what that means is that it is, yes, owned by the government. It's technically an SOE, state-owned enterprise. So that's a mistake because historically, countries that use state-owned enterprises have never risen to superpowers before. It isn't happening right now, actually. So don't get any thoughts in about that. But so yeah, it's essentially a state-owned enterprise, but it doesn't operate independently.
Okay.
Now, what's beneath all of this? What's beneath all of this is our new prime minister, who is actually conservative, even though he brands himself as a liberal. I know, never happened before, where a liberal acts like a conservative. But he's essentially announcing major cuts to all public services, including crown corporations. And Canada Post is essentially how we get our fucking mail. Now, they kept striking, rightfully so, because they have very poor working conditions.
Right. So,
and you'd think this would make a difference, because this is how all Canadians get their mail. The only other option is to go completely private with it, right? Completely private, get like UPS all of a sudden. My personal opinion is that's exactly what they want, because I think the ultimate plan of the liberal / conservative government we have is to just privatize as much public service as they can. Obviously, the nail in the coffin is going to be our healthcare, but they're already working on that too.
Now, how would they do that? Would they just spin that Canada corporation and make it a private corporation, or would they actually sell it off to somebody like the person that runs, what's the Toronto newspaper that I'm thinking of? The Daily something. Big corporation. I mean, there are big for-profit media conglomerates, Canadian based, that they might think to offload Canada Post to potentially. Right?
So the way they usually do it, at least the way they've been trying it up here in Canada, is they underfund the service, the public service, to the point where everybody complains about it. This is where we're at right now in Canada. Because people are complaining about healthcare, but healthcare is underfunded. So what do you expect is going to happen? You have plenty of countries that have figured out the healthcare thing, and nobody's complaining about them.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's complaining.
You underfund.
You know, we hear wait times, we hear medication. You know, the negotiating for drug prices. That's the biggest thing, is that we don't hear. And if we did, then we don't, and we also fund the research, so we should participate somehow in the profits somehow, or at least in reduced cost. But we pay more than anywhere else in the world, even though we fund the research. And I'm not sure how that works exactly, but it does.
You have y'all are taking an L to Cuba, man. It's got an embargo and its buildings are crumbling. That's impressive. That's an impressive L. But here's how you do it. Here's how you turn a public service into a private service. You underfund that service. Again, happening right now here in Canada, also happening in the UK. This is a tried and true formula that gets you from a socialized aspect of your country to a privatized aspect of your country. You deliberately underfund that service to the point where it very deliberately and intentionally does not work properly. Right? And then you not necessarily wait for people to complain about it, but you capitalize on the fact that it is obviously not doing as well as expected, right? You create a lot of propaganda around it. You create a lot of media stories. You create a lot of discussions in the House of Commons, which happens regularly. And the conservative argument is always obviously, well, that's why we need to privatize it, and we need you to pay like $3,000 for a fucking IV drip or whatever. But
so sell it off to the highest bidder. I mean, is that what the end game is? Sell it to the highest bidder?
not so much as not even sell it off to the highest bidder. You just make private, a better option. You just normalize private, and then you just you just keep lowering funding on the public aspect until it's like bare bones and everybody's suddenly going to private. That's how you do it. You
So
underfund it
FedEx,
to the point where
UPS really are going to be the people that effectively pick up.
Basically, if you want to get your mail, they want it so that you're paying to get your mail. They're not going to lower your taxes, by the way. None of these privatizations are going to come with lower taxes. Obviously, they won't, because, Ukraine and Israel need their munitions.
Would Amazon be an option for delivering mail, since they're delivering to your fucking house anyway? Is going to end up being the next question, I'm guessing.
That's a really good call out, because that would be a brilliant pass off. To be like, hey, we're Amazon. We know that Canada's all fucked up with the mail right now. So we're offering this new service where if you order a product, we'll deliver your mail for you. And they won't even charge for it. They don't even have to.
Nope.
Because if you need your mail, you'll order something from Amazon. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's capitalism 101.
Jesus. So
offer something and treat it like it's helpful. So
Canada Post was actually...
I will be right back 1 minute.
Okay, cool. So
Keep
Canada
going.
Post was actually about to have to be, they had to submit a restructuring plan, right, to the federal government, which met their 45-day deadline, right? So the corporation's statement was deliberately vague, what a surprise, confirming only that the plan had been delivered and that details would remain secret until Ottawa gives its approval. Because all plans that everybody would be on board with need to be submitted in secret and held until after it's been approved by the government, right? Again, as Himbo stated, they do have a CEO because they are technically a state-run corporation. So their CEO, Doug Ettinger, declared that Canadians deserve a postal service that is strong, stable, and focused on meeting their changing needs, and we're focused on delivering that. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit, honestly, based on what I see. I think that, we'll see. I don't think that they're really focused on meeting their changing needs. I think that now the other thing is there a federal mandate, a constitutional mandate in Canada to fund a postal service like there is in the United States? Is it required by law like it is here? I'm guessing not.
I actually don't know that, but let me look it up. But again, I don't think it matters, because the point, at least from what I've observed, is it doesn't even matter if it's required or not. They're going to make it so inconvenient and shitty that you're going to go private. The same thing with healthcare. They can technically have healthcare, but if it's so awful and it doesn't meet the needs of the people of our country, they're going to go private because it's their health. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like if you have a serious medical condition you need it taken care of. Yeah. We'll go into debt for that instead of just have it not properly addressed, especially something like cancer, cardiovascular disease, liver disease, renal failure. There's so many different diseases that require prompt attention, that require a robust investment.
And this is where it's fucked up, because you get tens of thousands of postal workers intentionally being kept in the dark about the future of their jobs and livelihoods, while management and the government implement the plans that they've already agreed on behind closed doors. So fucked.
Yeah.
Scrapping daily and home mail delivery. So what are they going to have to do? Go to a postal center to pick up your mail? Closing hundreds of rural and suburban post offices, eliminating tens of thousands of full-time jobs, and then increasing the workloads of those who remain through AI-driven dynamic routing. Yay. AI coming for gerbs. Right?
Oh, dude, there was a completely okay. Sorry, quick segue. There was a completely unhinged post that a member of our NDP party, for those who don't know, the NDP is like the Workers' Party in Canada, which
Right.
have been essentially liquidated at this point. They're tiny, but one of the people posted this thing about how AI can help Indigenous people, and I'm like, do you have any idea how unhinged that statement is?
Wow.
This is our Workers' Party? Like, oh, we're cooked. Oh, we're so cooked if this is our Workers' Party. Anyway, sorry. Quick
Eve
segue.
Engler is actually running to be the head of the NDP, even though he knows it's a performative vote. It would be great. He's journalist, anti-Zionist. He's doing it.
I love him.
He's doing it just to expose how bullshit the whole thing is and how rigged and controlled. They won't allow him to speak, really. He's just now starting to get a little bit of traction, but they want to silence the shit out of him. All right.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, it's sad because, like, the NDP is, look, the NDP, for those who are aware, they used to be a serious workers' party. They used to be a serious socialist party. They used to be a proletarian alternative to the direction Canada was going in. And in 2011, they almost fucking won. They got second. And it was somewhat close.
People were excited with Jagmeet Singh. I mean, for a minute.
They were, but the problem with Jagmeet is he just didn't have the juice. He didn't have the riz. There was a man who I will always credit for radicalizing me, and that man's name was Jack Layton. The NDP needs another Jack Layton. Go look up interviews of how he talked, the way he spoke, writings of his. He kind of looked like Lenin, which I think helped. That's what the NDP needs. They need like a pit bull. They need someone with like balls, big balls, like 3 balls, not just 2 big balls, but a third ball that maybe is medium sized because the other 2 are also big. So like the medium would like counterbalance the other 2 balls. I don't know where I'm going with any of that, but my point is like the left needs like passion. The left needs like aggression. The left needs people who are going to go out and call these fuckers out for the corrupt pieces of shit they are. And I feel like Jagmeet, his biggest problem was that he did not have that juice.
Do you know any Canada
but
Post
he did
workers?
get a
Have
lot
you
of
talked
good
to
shit
any?
for Canadians. It's like 2 degrees removed, but a buddy of mine, his buddy is works for Canada Post, and he's been miserable for like a really long time. And the left needs 12 balls.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is that A, they don't listen, and B, like the rest of the kind of crown corporations and government services, the strikes don't really get enough. That's the problem. They don't get enough. And I mean, the same could be said obviously for corporations, but it's like, I feel like they don't go hard enough. Like, listen. If you strike and you don't deliver mail and people just wait for you to resume delivering mail and you don't get at the point you want to be, take it up a notch. Start losing mail. Right? I'm sorry. Or maybe even I'll go a step further.
Stop
maybe
sending
direct
mail?
that solely. Or maybe direct that solely in the direction of corporations. Maybe you lost a lot of important documents. My point is, like, when you do not get your demands by the way of strike, you need to escalate. And this is what I keep saying about the left and organizers and unions in general. You have to keep going. You have to keep disrupting capital. Nothing is going to change unless the people, it's very simple, unless the people who are responsible for your material conditions are worried that you have a very real threat of affecting their bottom line, nothing's going to fucking change, and it never will. And if you do not meet that criteria, you need to escalate until you do. Period. Full stop. So
here we go. Canada Post has been chosen as a test case to demonstrate Ottawa's willingness to impose tough decisions at the expense of the working class and to set a precedent for the dismantling of other public services and agencies, like you just talked about, Himbo. By targeting postal workers, which is a section of the workforce with a long record of militancy, the government aims to send an unmistakable signal that no public service and no collective agreement will stand in the way of its drive for fiscal sustainability and global competitiveness. Oh, God, I want to puke. All right. But then you've got, again, the record of the post union, the post workers' betrayal and complicity. So typical of a World Socialist website article, they're calling out union leadership as selling out their rank and file, okay, and making these deals secretly with lawmakers and with management without informing the workers themselves that are going to end up having to accept it and or vote on it. I don't even know. It may just be imposed upon them. They may have no choice. But what they're doing is they're waiting till the absolute last minute to tell anyone so that they're basically stuck and have no choice, at least in the short term, to find another gig and replace their lives.
Yep.
And because the Post, Canada Post certainly doesn't want to have everyone mass exodus, because what are they going to do? They still have to deliver the mail. So they just want to keep everyone in the dark, hope that a majority of them hang on for long enough to find until they find a new gig. But they're talking again about cutting tens of thousands of workers. There's not that many people that work for CP, for Canada Post, right? The strike was sabotaged by the Canada Post workers' leadership, which unilaterally transformed it into toothless, rotating strikes that exclude most major urban areas. So they're striking right now. But this was the criticism that I had for the UAW strike, which was that stand-up strike bullshit we talked about literally 2 years ago on this show, which was that they didn't actually impact the corporation, right? They strategically sat workers out in certain areas so that they didn't achieve their ultimate numbers, but they didn't grind the gears of production completely. And that's what needs to happen. That's how you bring them to their knees.
Yeah. This is what I've been saying forever, guys. We don't even need a general strike. What we need is the threat of a general strike. What we need is for the capitalist class, the ruling class, the people in the fucking yachts, to realize we have that power, to realize we are able. That's all they need. That's all they need. Trust me, I've been in enough meetings over shareholder bullshit, quarterly profits, all that. These people are neurotic about this shit, okay? Because they see it as a reflection of their self-worth. But that's another psychological discussion all in of itself that I could go in for an hour about. All they need is the threat of it. All they need to know is the power is there to fuck their shit up. They need to know, oh my God, my profits are going to get ass blasted if I do not take care of my workers. I do not want the ass blasting of my profits. That's all they need to know. And then it's over. And that's how you get people finally playing ball. But you need them to have that fear. You need them to know you have that power. And that's why they spend so much resources dividing everybody and getting them fighting over stupid, pointless bullshit instead of the same struggle that we all have, which is when we wake up, go to a dictatorship for 8 hours where we're not paid our worth, and then go home and try and decompress from the bullshit we just went through. So I'm getting ranty. It's getting late. I'm getting ranty. I'm getting ranty.
Now, here is the UNI Global Union that stands with the postal workers. This is their
Fuck
statement.
yes.
All right. So here you've
Fuck
got
yes.
the UNI stands with postal workers in Canada in full support with its Canadian affiliate, the CUPW, after the government announced major changes to Canada Post. All right. That it undermines public postal services, workers' rights. In response to these attacks, they've launched a nationwide strike effective immediately. All right. So solidarity, which is good. All right. And that this slapdash this slapdash approach without full public consultation is an insult to both the public and postal workers. Again, this is being done in a smoke-filled room. That they're going to just all of a sudden impose and say, this is what's being done. It's a direct assault on postal workers, on the public service, right? At our UNI Post and Logistics World Conference this week, we showed how governments and corporations are putting profits over people and have put in place an ambiguous strategic plan to fight back. Oh, ambitious, not ambiguous. I would hope it wouldn't be ambiguous at this point. If you're ambiguous, you're going to be in trouble. Because these guys are certainly organized and have a plan. Right? Yes, the ass blaster. That's right, Sean. I did hear ass blast the bourgeoisie. That's right, Himbo. Thanks. All right. And then, of course, we have this story from the CBC, and you know how this is going to go. Now, this is a 10-minute video. I don't want to watch this thing, but I'll link this in the description so you can check this out. But everybody's in a panic. Nobody knows what's going to happen with the mail. Everyone wants to get their mail. Nobody wants to pay, especially not Mark Carney in the World Economic Forum. And that's really the thing. Carney was installed.
Yep.
Yeah, this is your bag.
Guys, he was a bank. Like, people need to understand how this works, because it's the same way American politics work, because it's the same way any dictatorship of the bourgeoisie works. Okay? You got good cop, bad cop. Same thing with Kamala Harris. Oh my God, everybody hated her. We're going to vote for Trump. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Trump now just magically doing everything that you were worried that the Biden administration was doing? To the point where I have people on Facebook, American friends, being like, is this just Biden 2.0? Yeah, it fucking is. And the same thing with Canada. Because you get PP up here who's scary, and he says all these deliberately scary things, and he's unlikable as possible. He's the most unfuckable guy on earth. He's less fuckable than Randy Fine. Okay, somehow he managed it.
Wow.
But you got basically Maple Millhouse up here being like, we're going to axe the tax, and women, your biological clocks are ticking, and all this like unbelievably fucked up cringe shit. And he comes with all these stupid fucking ideas that nobody likes. And so everybody's scared into voting for Mark Carney, and they're like, he's the responsible one. He's going to stand up to Trump. Meanwhile, he's a fucking banker.
Yep.
You're voting for a banker. They're like on the 8th level of hell, and there's only 9. I'm going to put it that way.
None of the above. What?
And that's how the game is
What happened
played.
to none of the above? That's what I want to know.
We're not at none of the above, man. If we
Did
were at
anybody
none of
see
the
Brewster's
above,
Millions?
we would
Did
be
anybody
talking
see
about-
it?
You know what happened with none of the above? The USSR was created. That's what Cuba was liberated with none of the above. That's what happens when the masses get to none of the above. We're not at none of the above yet. Although,
Oh God, can we fucking get there
are
already?
closer. That's what we're all trying to do, man. That's the whole reason I put so many hours into my channel. That's why I work with INN, because we do some great work over here too. I want to get us there because we're not there. We need to be there like fucking now, because they are building the means to prevent us from ever getting to none of the above again, because we'll be scared, because your household robot will punch you in the skull if you think that, I don't know, AOC, like dictator AOC in 2028 or whatever, is not based in red pilled or whatever the fuck they're gonna do.
She's not going to be.
That's
the
what we
candidate.
gotta
She's,
do.
She's not going to be corporate funded enough. They're not. I wish, but actually, I don't wish. But it doesn't matter. It's going to be
I don't
Newsom. It's going to
know,
be
but I
Booty
feel like-
Judge. It's going to be, my dad's yelling, J.D. Pritzker. Well, he's another fucking Randy Fine billionaire the size of Randy Fine, just the Democratic version of Randy Fine. Total fucking Zionist. Just another, he's
What
an
would you do?
anti-Trump, but because Newsom is effectively another Biden, just younger, a blue Trump.
Newsom is interesting. He's very interesting. I gotta say, he's interesting.
Not if you lived with like lockdowns during COVID. He's not very interesting. He's as fascist authoritarian as it gets, and a hypocrite on top of it. But I just wanted to mention
thing I have come across to Dennis Reynolds. Sorry, go ahead.
He's bad, and he's also American Psycho. But we did talk about layoffs in the title here. That we were going to look at all these recent layoff announcements, and this was like a week ago already, and there's been even more announced since then. 48,000 UPS employees this year, up to 30,000 Amazon employees worldwide, 24,000 Intel. Right, that's over 700,000. I know we're now, I believe, over 1 million cuts announced in 2025 alone. So hunker down and make sure you've got multiple revenue sources. If you got a few bucks to invest, stick it in somewhere, because right now markets are going fucking crazy. Even though they're cutting heads, profitability's not down. Right? That's the big secret.
Of course not, because they just call it. Guys, when you're looking at these, that's them saving money. That is a whole bunch of full-time salaries or hourly wages that they don't have to pay. A lot of them are outsourced to places like India. And I will argue forever that those Indian workers are exploited too, because how the fuck would you feel if you realize that the job you are doing 8 hours a day, you're getting paid 1/10 of what someone else over somewhere else is getting paid, only because the capitalists who employ you can do that and it saves their bottom line? I don't know about you, I'd be pretty fucking pissed. But some of that's going over there. A lot of it's going over to AI, which I think is going to be a big backfire, because I feel like they're going to start realizing real quick that AI is not really the horse they're trying to bet on. But most importantly, I want you guys to understand. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to address this, but I'm not necessarily criticizing just the fact that Newsom locked people down. It's the fact that he locked people down while going out to dinner at restaurants himself. It was the hypocrisy. It was the king-like mentality that he had, that it was okay for him, but it wasn't okay for anybody else. That was my problem with Newsom there. I mean, yes, it was a problem because other states did not lock down. Some didn't have problems. Some did have problems. It was very rare. Look, overall, we can argue about overall numbers, and a lot of people think that there's a lot of questions over a lot of stuff that happened. That's all I want to say.
My biggest issue with all of that was that their messaging was dog shit, and they didn't take care of their people. My biggest issue was that they didn't take care of their people, because what pisses me off as a Marxist is COVID was the perfect opening to segue into some kind of socialist project. It was perfect. You could have, up here we had something called CERB. It was basically kind of like universal basic income of some kind. They had something like that. Government started taking care of their people at least better than they were before. It was a perfect segue where they could have just implemented all these great socialist policies and just, I don't know, like the Patriot Act, just forget to take them off. But we blew all that, and instead we got this giant reactionary shit fit over the whole thing. And that's the issue I have there. I never had a problem with lockdowns per se. The issue I had was, the biggest issue I had was that the messaging sucked. It was inconsistent. and I feel like that costs a lot of people a lot of lives. Also, the masking thing was weird too. I'm sorry, like you could put like whatever cloth like thing that doesn't do anything over your face, or you could put an N95 that was fitted over your face, and those two things were the same according to these mask mandates. It was so fucking stupid.
But then in a restaurant,
that's my grievance.
It worked like you could, while you're eating, you could take the thing
You
off.
take it off,
but,
yeah.
But and it only worked, I guess, at night, because during the day the whole thing was just the way that they selectively decided to impose certain things and not impose others, and then which businesses they allowed to stay open and which businesses they didn't. Not all on Gavin Newsom. Totally agree.
That too.
But Newsom kept California locked down much longer than most other states. I think California was like the last state to lift the lockdown restrictions. Yeah, and Billy says again, never recovered.
Yeah.
You know?
My bigger issue with Gavin Newsom was shit like his like war on the homeless.
Yep.
And also just the fact that he's very clearly like a serial killer. And I feel like people need to understand that he's a serial killer. And once we all accept that Gavin Newsom is a serial killer, we'll all be on the same page there.
$23 billion for homeless to fight homelessness, and they got like nobody off the streets. Talk to Keith McHenry about that. He'll rage for hours about the shit that went down there. But I mean, just look at how many employees they're cutting heads right now. So again, try to find yourself something somewhere locally, and it's not just about these big corporations, because small businesses are what keep the economy going. 75% of America works for a small business, not for one of these big corporations.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm just looking at that list you're showing.
Hang on, let me go back.
What's terrifying? 4,000 employees from Salesforce. Obviously, I'm a little invested given my line of work, but fuck, man. 4K from Salesforce.
They got rid of a lot of their tech
Now, I know for a fact that's just
support.
AI.
That's support because of AI. Yeah, Benioff announced that.
Yep.
All right.
And I'm going to be honest, guys. I just want you guys like a front and center, like first person observation of how this is going. AI and support is fucking up. It's fucking up real bad. To the point where our AI systems are just hallucinating random shit. Okay, I'll put it this way. Since we implemented AI, my escalations have gone up by at least 300%. And it's all because this AI is just fucking spitting whatever out. It's just regurgitating shit. And that's what these companies are now going to do. They're just going to be like, well, AI, that's not a mouth to feed. We can just destroy the whole fucking ecosystem. And in return, we can have, less salaries to pay. And it's not even doing a good job. It's so garbage.
7,000 Microsoft.
It's not even like.
That's $1 trillion company.
Fuck, man.
That's $1 trillion company. This again is not Intel. 24,000 people. This is not about profits. How many $10 billion, I believe, that NVIDIA just invested in Intel while they're getting rid of 24,000 employees? Like there's an imbalance here.
They want to automate the whole. They want to automate the whole workforce because that is exactly what you could expect if the greater plan is some form of a return to serfdom.
And that's the UPS plan too, by the way, is to automate their entire workforce in the warehouses. And we talked about that on How Do We Miss That like a year or two ago, that they were going to go from 8 employees for every 1,000 packages to 2 employees for every 1,000 packages. Like they was going to cut by 75%. And that's what you're seeing here. They're also going to cut their number of warehouses in total and go to these super centers regionally. You know?
Yeah.
So, layoffs are coming, if you hadn't heard. This, by the way, I wanted to give people a resource before we get out of here. This is called the Warn Tracker. I saw actually a video on Instagram about this, and they are legally required. Companies with like more than 50 employees are legally required by their states to file 60 days in advance if they plan to lay people off. That this is a list and a tracker of all the companies that have announced that they're going to be laying people off. So, Oz was talking about how he just mentioned something about Walgreens and food service places. Here, for example, are some places in Washington that have announced a December 31st layoff. And you've already started to see Philips Ultrasound between 11 and 50, total 101 to 250 employees. But in this round, you're getting it up to 50. All right. Meta with another 250 up to. So it's just interesting to see this so that you can kind of get a heads up. Look at all these Starbucks layoffs that are coming. And again, this is just Washington state. And you can search state by state or specifically for your state. All right. This is at least in the U.S. You can't search this in Canada as far as I know. No Canada, just U.S. based. So know what's coming in your state and know if your company is going to be intending to lay people off before it ever happens, and start looking before it happens. So I did want to mention that.
Oh, real quick,
Go ahead.
real quick before we wrap up, can you pull up Future Learn real quick? Because
Yes.
I think this would be a good resource for people looking to,
Yeah. That was the other thing
So
that you had
this is a
brought.
really good, this is a really good site to future-proof your career. Because look, I know, I hate it too. I have a whole show dedicated to the impending technocracy. But at the end of the day, I want you all to be able to feed your families. I want everybody to be able to thrive as we work towards a better future. This is a really good site that basically just has a fucking complete database of everything you can do to kind of future-proof your career, learn new skills, basically make yourself so that you are more employable in this age of layoffs. And I'm actually using it myself right now because I'm tired of dealing with customers. That's a whole other conversation I could go 3 hours on. But B, it's, it gives you a lot of resources on how to kind of move ahead and possibly find something that you enjoy doing more than what you're doing right now. And there's a limited access option. You pay $0. It's still tons of really good stuff. You can pay for it if you like. I don't personally recommend it. I think it provides a lot of great stuff just in and of itself. But it is something you might want to consider just for kind of,
Investment in yourself. It very
skills.
rarely doesn't pay off when you invest in yourself. Like it says, invest in yourself today.
Yeah.
People are very cheap with themselves when it comes to their education, their career, and just how much that knowledge can help them advance their career. And again, these are bite-sized, flexible learning, short courses in UX design or generative AI architecture, specific things that can actually help you earn jobs. Short courses, expert tracks.
And listen,
go ahead.
Yep. And listen, guys, like if AI is going to be shoved in our faces and there's nothing we can fucking do about it anyway, you might as well be able to make money off it. Because here's I'm gonna make a prediction because I love doing predictions, as y'all know. There's going to be a very lucrative field in actually fact checking AI and like correcting it, pointing out hallucinations, all that stuff. There's going to be a really lucrative field in being able to tease out the shit that AI is out to lunch on. I'm just calling it. I'm just making a prediction because I've seen enough from AI that eventually people are going to lose confidence, and it's going to require human intervention, because that's what we do anyway. Whenever we interface with AI, we go, hey, you got this shit wrong. And then it goes, yeah, you're right, I did. That's going to require jobs. So check it out. At the end of the day, it's a free resource. You don't got to do anything with it. I've been enjoying it. But look into that as well, because I want everybody to eat at the end of the day.
Have skills. Again, I don't want this just to be doom and gloom. Like, I want to actually give people some tools and some skills and some things that they can actually do to fight the machine. Because I know that there's a lot of shit that's coming. We're also going to be doing a tech tip show on Thursday nights once a month to try to help people understand the tools of how to do live streaming, how to publish a Substack, how to manage a YouTube channel. There are so many things that we do in independent media that people don't really even understand the skill set, but I think that it would actually help people. So I'm going to start doing more of those things. I just think that more practical knowledge is something that we're missing in the independent space. That's not sponsored by a product. That's not trying to push something on you, but just trying to educate you, and so that you can make yourself a little bit smarter, a little bit more marketable out there. All right. I think I got there was one other story I wanted to get to that we didn't get a chance to, which is basically about the Hire Act, which you wanted to talk about. And then we also want to talk about the death of the corporate job. So we'll get to those next time. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for another Nobody Wants to Work Anymore. But I'm glad to be dusting this back off and doing this again. There is a lot that's happening out in the workplace. They never really stopped, but I kind of checked out for a while, and there's just so much going on. We got to stay up on it, because otherwise you fall behind. And thank you to everyone for hanging out and for chatting and staying active and giving us ideas on what needs to be done. You see stuff about what's happening with layoffs, with something at your workplace, something that we can talk about. Reach out, send us a message, let us know. We are certainly always looking for good topics to cover on the show. And holy shit, yeah, we're good to go. I think we're gonna kill it for tonight. Go watch Pro Pill. That's when? Wednesdays and Sundays, right? Something like that.
When? I have no idea.
When they decide to.
Check out Pro Build. Our definitive show is Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually do Sundays. Sometimes it's Mondays. It's kind of a bit of floater show. I'm going to start doing gaming shows when I can as well. I personally want to up the live content when we can. So definitely look out for that. If you haven't subscribed to ProPilled, just type in PROLEPILLED into Google. It'll send you on the right path. But yeah, that's if you want to learn about technocracy, and we do brand ourselves as tomorrow's news today. So yeah, you can check that out if you like. But definitely be sure to also subscribe to the Indie News Network, of which we are proudly a part of. So
yeah.
Also, and most importantly, pee-pee and poo-poo.
Kamishwari Kate saying that don't forget that Oz and Shanda are going to go live Beauty and the Boomer Saturday night, 10 Eastern. Go check them out for sure. Angel in the afternoon will be tomorrow at 7 with Alex Knight, and I'm not sure if Miss Witchy Perfect is going to join. In the morning, we're going to have the Independent Review live that'll be on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Kick. And I'll probably jump into Steve's live at 12:30 after the pre-recorded section is there. I don't know what Ryan's got picked, but he usually picks a pretty good set of clips for the week in independent media to showcase. Whitney Webb, T-Lav, Geopolitics and Empire, Anti-War News, good mix of people. So definitely check that out. And thank you to everyone. And we'll be back real soon. So Have yourselves a good night, everyone, and we will see you real soon. No!
And don't ever forget, keep questioning everything.
Oh, right.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
Right, that too.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days, and I still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to me, but God, it's so hard to say. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe?
Who are these people?